Hey there. They call me Old Bull, not because I've got all the answers, but because I've lived through enough storms to know which ones are worth standing in. I'm just a man who's walked some hard trails, made plenty of mistakes, and picked up a few truths along the way. This channel is a quiet place for real talk. No shouting. No preaching, just honest words about what it means to be a strong man in a noisy world. If you're tired of pretending, if you're looking for peace, direction, and the kind of strength that doesn't depend on anyone else, you're in the right place. Pull up a chair. Light your cigar. Let's talk about what really matters. Most men spend their whole lives begging for something they already have: approval, belonging, purpose. And the sad truth is, they've been trained to need applause, to need validation, to need someone beside them just to feel like they're enough. But here's the twist no one wants to tell you. The strongest men you'll ever meet are the ones who don't need a damn thing, but choose to give everything. That's not weakness. That's power. Quiet, steady, uncheckable. If you feel tired, stretched thin, burned out from carrying everyone else's weight, while still doubting your own worth, this one's for you. You were not born to be desperate. You were born to be solid. But no one ever taught you how to walk that line between being needed and being needy. Until now. What if I told you that the moment you stop depending on others to define your value, the moment you become the kind of man others quietly depend on? In this video, I'm not going to preach. I'm going to hand you something better: clarity. We're going to talk about strength, identity, scars, silence, responsibility, and what it truly means to live with purpose in a world that wants you confused. So lean in, brother. Because once you understand this, there's no turning back. Remember sitting by a dying fire one cold evening, the kind that bites through your coat and into your bones. My boots were worn, my hands were cracked, and the coffee in my tin cup had long gone cold. And still, I felt a peace I hadn't known in a long time. You see, there's something liberating about not needing much. When you strip away the noise, the clutter, the expectations, what's left is something strong, solid. That's where a man begins to understand what freedom truly tastes like, not in the abundance of things, but in the absence of need. I've watched men chase careers they hate, cling to relationships that drain, and buy things just to feel like somebody. And all the while, they're dragging chains behind heavy ones, forged link by link out of every little must-have, and can't live without. When you need less, you carry less. Not just in your pockets, but on your soul. A real man, a strong man, ain't measured by how full his hands are, but by how light his heart is when he walks away from what doesn't serve him anymore. Let go of what owns you. That fancy truck with more features than a spaceship? Trade it for an old pickup with soul and a few dents that tell stories. That job that eats your guts for a bigger paycheck? Maybe it's time to simplify your expenses, not your dreams. Cut away what chains you, and you'll feel the wilderness in your lungs again. That mountain air, brother, it don't come cheap. It comes when you realize the less you need, the freer you are. And from that freedom, something deeper starts to grow. There was a time I thought I needed every new gadget that hit the shelves. The latest gear, the fastest truck, the sharpest knife, even if I had 3 others just like it. But all that spending, all that reaching, was just me patching over a hole I hadn't yet named. It wasn't about the stuff. It was about control or lack of it. Every unnecessary thing we buy is usually an answer to a question we haven't dared to ask ourselves. And most times, the question is this: what am I trying to feel that I'm not feeling right now? When you stop letting every impulse pull your wallet open, you start reclaiming your strength. You stop being a passenger in your own life. Instead of chasing satisfaction in a shopping cart, you begin to build it with your hands, your time, your purpose. A strong man doesn't chase comfort, he cultivates resilience. And when you no longer need the world to prop up your sense of identity, you find out how steady you really are. Cutting back ain't about lack, it's about taking back what's yours. Clarity, independence, peace. Next time you feel that itch to spend, pause. Go split some firewood. Fix that loose board on the back porch. Read something that sharpens your mind instead of dulling your bank account. The richest man in Babylon is a good place to start. Or Walden, if you're ready to question everything. Build a habit of creating more than you consume. That kind of life makes you hard to control, hard to rattle. And there's a quiet power in that fire that doesn't flicker every time the wind changes. There's a deep line in the dirt between needing someone and wanting them. And most folks blur that line so bad, they don't know where one ends and the other begins. I've been married long enough to know the weight of both. I don't need my wife, I want her. That might sound harsh to some ears, but let me tell you something honest. Needing someone ties them to your survival. Wanting them means you've chosen them every damn day without that rope of dependence around their neck. That's not cold, that's respect. That's love without chains. When a man needs a woman to feel whole, he's already broken. And when a woman needs a man to fill her gaps, neither of them is standing on solid ground. Relationships built on need always carry the smell of fear of being alone, fear of not being enough, fear of losing something you think you can't live without. But when 2 people want each other, not from emptiness, but from fullness, that's when the fire burns steady. Not wild and frantic, but warm, reliable, like a campfire at dusk that holds its glow without a fuss. So if you're in a place where you're holding on to someone just because the thought of being without them terrifies you, take a hard look. At that, build your own spine, strengthen your identity. Want someone because they bring color to your already full life, not because they paint over your wounds. That goes for friendships, too. Brotherhood should be forged in fire, not in fear. And once you feel the difference between needing and wanting, you'll start seeing everything around you with clearer eyes and steadier hands. I've seen men dragged dead, wait for years-old titles, rusted trophies, names they carved into oak, doors that no longer open for them. Some still drive trucks they can't afford, just so the neighbors nod at the chrome. Others stay in broken relationships long past their expiration because they're scared of losing the comfort of being, known even if it means being quietly miserable. But brother, you can't walk tall with chains around your ankles. Letting go isn't weakness. It's strength in its purest, most unglamorous form. I once sold a saddle that meant the world to me. It was gifted by my father, worn smooth from my rides through pine woods and winter trails. But I had to sell it not because I didn't love it, but because holding on to it was keeping me locked in memories that weren't helping me grow. That saddle had weight, and the moment I let it go, I didn't lose my father. I gained the freedom to honor him in new ways. That's the kind of decision that carves deeper lines of character into a man's face. Ask yourself, what are you holding on to that's actually holding you back? Maybe it's a title you once had, a circle of people who no longer reflect who you've become, or a house too big for your peace of mind. The world sells you the idea that you are what you keep. But I say a good man is measured by what he can walk away from without breaking. That kind of likeness, the kind that comes from letting go, isn't hollow. It's holy. And once you feel it, you'll start noticing how much quieter the inside of your chest becomes. I've left places I once thought I'd die in, towns that held my name, jobs that fed my pride, people I loved but who stopped being good for my soul. And here's the thing. I didn't slam doors. I didn't burn bridges. I just picked up my pack, tipped my hat, and walked. Not because I was angry, but because I wasn't. Real power isn't in the noise of your exit. It's in the calm of knowing you could stay, but choose not to. That kind of silence speaks louder than any goodbye ever could. There's a kind of strength that's forged in restraint. You don't have to prove to anyone why you're leaving. You don't owe them your rage. Sometimes folks will do you wrong, and they'll expect you to throw a fit, to make a scene, because that makes them feel important. But when you leave with dignity, you take something with you they can't touch, your peace. And peace, my friend, is the sharpest blade a man can carry in this world. Quiet strength cuts cleaner than shouting ever will. Don't confuse bitterness with strength. One poisons you slowly, the other keeps you moving forward. If you're carrying resentment like a loaded rifle across your back, set it down. You don't need it for the road ahead. Learn to leave without leaving pieces of yourself behind. No angry letters. No parting shots. Just a firm step and a clear conscience. That's what an older man knows, and what a strong man learns. Sometimes the real fight is in not fighting at all, and just walking away whole. Pain visits every man. It don't knock. It don't wait for a good time. It just shows up. I've buried friends, watched dreams fall apart, sat by bedsides holding hands that went cold. And let me tell you, pain has weight. But the mistake most folks make is thinking they have to either run from it or wear it like armor. There's another way. You can feel pain without becoming it. You can carry it like a scar, not a shackle. That's what emotional maturity looks like keeping. Your head high with a cracked heart. I've known men who let their pain define them. Every story they tell, every decision they make, comes from that old wound they never cleaned. And the wounds start speaking louder than their wisdom. But a strong man, he listens to pain, learns what it's trying to teach, and then walks on. He doesn't stay stuck in it like boots in wet mud. He knows that survival isn't just about endurance. It's about direction. You bleed, you bandage, you move. That's what men do when the fire goes out and the cold creeps in. So if you're hurting, and I mean deep soul-level hurting, don't let that pain own you. Write it down. Talk it out with someone who's walked through their own fire. Sit in the forest with your silence and let the wind remind you that you're still breathing. Read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl if you're ready to learn how deep strength is forged in suffering. But whatever you do, don't let pain turn your life into a monument of sorrow. Carry it, don't cradle it. That's the difference between living and just surviving. Being a man isn't about walking alone into the woods and never looking back. It's about knowing you could and choosing not to, because someone behind you might need the trail kept clear. I've always believed that independence is the backbone of manhood, but it's not the whole body. A good man, a real man, doesn't just live for himself. He stands tall so others can lean. He sharpens his own blade so he can cut through the thorns for those still learning how to walk upright. I've seen men mistake solitude for strength. They pull away, cut ties, vanish into their hobbies or their jobs, thinking they're proving something. But strength without service turns sour real quick. It becomes pride, and pride left unchecked rots a man from the inside out. The older I get, the more I see that the strongest men are the ones who show up not just for themselves, but for their brothers, their wives, their children. They don't do it for applause. They do it because their word means something, and they carry weight without complaint. You don't have to be a hero. You just have to be solid. Start small. Check in on your old man. Split firewood for your neighbor. Show your son how to clean a rifle or sharpen a blade. And when you're tired, don't hide it, just rest. Then get back up. Masculinity isn't loud, and it sure as hell ain't selfish. Its quiet strength under pressure can steady hands when things go south. And once you realize that, you stop chasing validation and start leaving a legacy. There's a kind of peace that comes when you stop expecting folks to complete you. When you no longer look around the room hoping someone else has your answers. That's real freedom. But don't get it twisted. Just because you don't need anyone to survive doesn't mean you're meant to walk through this life blind to who needs you. Independence ain't about isolation. It's about strength that's steady enough to lend a hand without shaking. I remember a young man from town who thought he had to cut off everyone to prove he was strong. Moved away, stopped calling, said he needed to find himself. A year later, he came back quieter, humbler. Turns out his little brother had been waiting for one phone call. Just one. See, being needed isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's a presence. A man who shows up when it counts, not because he has to, but because he can. That's where integrity grows, in the quiet spaces where you choose others, even when you don't need them to choose you. So be the kind of man who walks steady, but listens for the footsteps behind him. There might be a friend too proud to ask, a neighbor watching from the shadows, a son who picks up everything you put down, even your silence. You don't have to carry everyone. But know this, some folks won't make it unless they know someone. Like you exists, someone who stands firm, someone who stays. And in that staying, you become more than a man, you become a shelter. There's a strange thing that happens when a man gets strong. He starts thinking he's above the weak. It's subtle. Maybe he gets praised a little too much. Maybe he's the guy folks always call when things go wrong. And somewhere along the trail, he starts believing he's better. That's a dangerous slope. Real strength doesn't strut. It kneels. It lifts. It listens. And it never forgets what it felt like to be the one struggling in silence, hoping someone would just notice. I've chopped wood for widows, patched fences I didn't break, and sat through long conversations I didn't have time for, because humility ain't measured by what you do, but by how you show up. You want to know if you're helping for the right reasons? Ask yourself if you'd still do it if no one ever found out. If there's no applause, no thank you, no post on social media, would you still split that firewood? That's the test. Because once help becomes about your ego, it ain't help anymore. It's performance. And let me tell you, nothing cleans the soul like quiet service. Go visit someone who can't pay you back. Show up with tools instead of opinions. Bring soup instead of speeches. You'll find that while you're fixing someone else's roof, you're also patching something inside yourself. That's the gift of humility. It humbles the helper more than the helped. And just like that, pride stays small, vanity stays silent, and your hands stay busy with something that matters. There's this lie that crept into manhood, somewhere down the line, that real men sacrifice themselves till there's nothing left. Burnout is not a badge of honor. It's a warning sign. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you damn sure can't protect anyone if you're running on fumes. The strongest men I know, they rest, they eat clean. They keep their mind sharp, their body moving, their soul fed. Not out of vanity, but out of responsibility. Because a broken man trying to carry others only leaves more wreckage behind. Make it a point to wake up before the sun and get quiet. With myself, no noise, no screens, just breath and thought. Sometimes I stretch out the tightness in my old back. Sometimes I read a page from Proverbs or Seneca. Sometimes I just sip black coffee and watch the fog lift off the hills. That's not laziness. That's maintenance. Just like a rifle needs oil or a saddle needs conditioning, a man needs daily care. And if you're not tuning yourself, you'll fall out of alignment faster than you think, and the one's counting. On you will feel it first. You've got folks watching you, leaning on you. Maybe your wife, your daughter, a buddy in the trenches, or a young man who doesn't even know yet that you're his example. So eat like you've got a future. Sleep like your strength matters. Move like your body's still a weapon. Think like your words carry weight, because they do. And when you stand tall, well-fed, well-read, well-rooted, you become a shelter, a stronghold, a man of integrity who can weather the storm and still offer his coat to someone shaking in the cold dot. So now I'll ask you, who are you when no one claps for you? Who are you when no one needs anything from you? Are you still standing tall, or do you start to crumble in silence? Because here's the hard truth. You don't have to live desperate, burnt out, or chasing someone else's idea of a real man. You can build yourself from the inside out steady, sharp, whole. But it starts with a choice. Will you keep depending on others to hold your spine up? Or will you stand on your own so others can finally lean on you? Look around your life. Who needs you to show up not broken, but balanced, not loud, but rooted? You don't need permission to be strong. You just need discipline, self-respect, and the courage to walk away from what weakens you, even if it's familiar. So tell me in the comments, which part of this message hit home? And what are you finally ready to let go of? If this sparked something in you, don't just walk away. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notifications. Because here on this channel, we don't just talk about being men, we live it. One step at a time, one hard truth at a time. I'll be waiting for you on the next trail.